Hello and welcome to Food Dates Untold, the chapter-by-chapter breakdown of the fantasy classic that is Labyrinth. I'm your host as always, Edward Jones, and joining me of course is our resident Labyrinth Uber fan, Miss Emily Slade.
Hello!
Tonight we look at chapter 15, Ludo, where we're introduced to another key party member. On our previous episode we obviously met the wise man in a rather breezy episode, and we got a bit more of an indication of what Sarah's friendship with Hogger is, only for him to then just basically go, nope, I'm out of here and run off. But tonight we are obviously introduced to, how do we want to describe Ludo? Because I always see him as like a big dopey dog.
What does she call him? She's like, you're such a sweet beast. Like, calling something a beast to its face is just so weird unless you're literally Belle. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's such an odd thing to call someone.
It's funny that Disney's Beast also looks remarkably like Ludo.
Yeah, it does.
The horns are exactly the same, and like...
Yeah. I guess because those horns are, like, satanic and Satan's kind of sexy and friendly, so I guess that, like... I don't know, they think it's non-threatening to children because it's familiar in some way. I don't know.
So Satan's sexy and friendly? That's the first time I've ever heard that.
It's like a familiar image. So, like, those sort of big horns on the head are used so frequently.
Of course.
That, everyone is just reminiscent of Tim Curry and Legend, and everyone's like, well, that's the best thing I've ever witnessed, so we'll just do that again. I don't know. I don't know what the thinking is behind the horns, but they seem to appear on many sort of, they're on the Gruffalo, and they're on, do you know what I mean? They're like, if you want, you got to have that slack-jawed, big-eyed horns on top of your head. Even Maleficent has them. They're just a staple for kids.
Yeah, obviously with horns it is obviously the beast side, and it's to give it that element of danger, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you either go for that, you go for the slooping brow, the extended jaw, like the big teeth, these sort of very visual sort of cues, and I think Ludo has many of those.
Yeah.
At the same time, he's got this sort of like hulking frame as well, which it's really funny when you look at the position of his head, because it sits somewhere in the middle of his body.
Yeah, almost like hunchbacked. But most importantly, he is fluffy. He's not like scaly or dripping. He's fluffy because he's for kids.
It's weird that to make something fluffy, gives it that sort of comfort in something being scary at the same time. Like,
yeah, genuinely, if Ludo was like crocodile skinned, for one, and like ew for another. So, but like, yeah, again, going back to the Gruffalo, which literally is the same design pretty much, and he's meant to be like
I'm just thinking of it. Yeah, you're pretty much right. Sully from Monsters Inc. as well.
Yeah, same vibes. Like, whereas like Roz is a slug and she's meant to be a bit more threatening. I guess Celia is snakeskin, but she's a sweetheart, so there's that. But it's also because she's the bride of Chucky, so there's that.
Celia, as in Mike's girlfriend.
Yeah, she's played.
Oh, sorry, I was just wondering. It's like she's not a doll; she's like a Medusa. It's like a Gorgon. Yeah. Who keeps threatening to get a haircut. The Roz just made me laugh. When I saw Monsters Inc. in the cinema, I was just like cracking up laughing like every time she appeared on the screen, because she reminded me of the receptionist at the call centre I was working at, because they are like that. They're all old and they somehow control everything in the company. Yeah. So,
oh my god, yeah, the designs in Monsters Inc. are amazing, but you're absolutely right in that Sully's very similar to Ludo, and yeah, it's I don't know, it's like teddy bear meets the devil, and they're like job done.
It's so like,
I don't know, I'd be interested in the psychology behind it, but I think it's fairly obvious in the sense of like the underjaw is that sort of bulldoggy thing, with the like upturned fangs, and then you got the horns, and then everything else you're just like a fluffy bear, and they're like.
Did we see Ludo in Sarah's bedroom when we obviously see all the references to other characters and locations within the film?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. I think he's like a cuddly toy.
That would not surprise me.
Or like a bookend? Was he a bookend?
Possibly.
Yeah, and he looks a lot simpler. And again though, like references to where the wild things are in her bedroom.
Yes, of course.
And those monsters are very similar to Ludo as well. Yeah. Funny.
And I mean, Ludo's obviously gives the illusion of being the powerhouse of this team. And you obviously got, when we meet Sir Didymus, he's sort of like the knight character. I guess Hoggle would be classed as the thief, because he's got keys. He sneaks around the underworld. He's very sort of knows all the back doors, all the tricks to the labyrinth. And obviously,
oh, I see. So then Ludo's the sort of like barbarian.
Yeah, he's sort of like the brute force, but at the same time, Ludo never really has. He has a few moments where he uses strength, but a lot of the time he just is there more just as a comfort to Sarah. And it's weird the fact that they would give her a character who's more of a comfort at this stage when she's obviously gaining so much power in herself. The fact that we would give her such a reassuring character, it's sort of character you would expect to meet first rather than the grouchy dwarf.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because Ludo's not at all helpful. In any sense of the word. Like, he has no idea where the castle is. He himself was like just captured, and like he's very much just like a hulking, stupid, for want of a better word, beast. But I guess he's just intrinsically tying into that whole thing of like, not everything is not as it seems, or whatever the sort of catchphrase of the Labyrinth is. Where it's like, don't judge a book by its cover kind of vibes. It's like, here's a big scary monster. Oh, but he's like dumb and like fun. Yes, of course. So like, you're welcome. Because in like, spoiler alert, in like 2 seconds, again, he's just gonna like fucking... It's like, he doesn't even know where he is. It's like, he's a tourist. Like, he wandered into the labyrinth, got caught, escaped, gets caught again, like falls through a trapdoor in like 5 minutes time. Like, he's just useless. He's so useless. He can barely speak the language where everybody else seems to be able to, even with dodgy accents. Ludo has like barely it's like he learns human during his time with Sarah. So he's a really interesting character in that he's just like a weight.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's almost, I would be like, if I was super ruthless, I would be like, you're out of the team.
Oh, no.
Like, what are you bringing? And obviously he proves his worth later on. I mean, not that you need worth to have friends, etc. But like, like, right now it's just like, Sarah, he can't help you. And I guess it's just showing Sarah's maturity, where like, earlier on when she met Hoggle, she was very much like, if that's all the help you're going to be, you can just leave. Whereas now she meets Ludo and he's literally no help. She's like, I need to get to the castle beyond the Goblin City. Do you know where it is? And he's like, no. And she's like, okay then, well, I guess you can tag along if you want. Which is growth from Hoggle, I guess. So I guess, yeah, there's that.
Okay. Obviously on tonight's theme, we, as we mentioned earlier, we're introduced to Ludo already, who's hanging upside down from a tree while he's being attacked by the Goblin Guard, who have got what looks like skinned critters on a stick that they're using to bite him for no other reason than to be arseholes. Probably...
It's just super cute. It's a super cute, like, little weapon.
It is a really random weapon. Another of my favourite scenes of the film. Especially in terms of sound design in this one, because we obviously are shown Ludo's amazing superpower of being able to control rocks. Giving Sarah things to lob at the guards handily. At the same point she goes, I wish I had something to throw. Not like, I wish I had a big stick because I'm twice the size of all these people and they don't look like they can see food.
I could go in and just boot them in the face and like that would probably work, but like I don't want to get involved that much because I'm kind of non-committal and I got a quest, which is valid.
But luckily Sarah, as we've seen earlier, is a demon in carnival games, which comes in really handy for donking the helmets the wrong way around on these guards, sending them into chaos and confusion. Oh, the hilarity. I
adorable.
Every time I hear the Stones like bounce off those helmets, the dong. It's so good.
She'd crush the coconut
She
shy.
would. I mean, if you ever tried this...
You know who else is good at the coconut shy? I'm really good at the
you?
coconut shy. I'm just going to humble brag right now. It's not even humble brag. It's just brag. I am so good at knocking coconuts off stands in the distance. Like, I'm so good at it. I always win the coconut. And then I can't access the coconut. And then I'm like, what would I do if I'm just... yeah, coconuts are funny.
It's a big hairy nut. Which is more exciting until you open it, and then you realise that this isn't as good as a bounty. This is...
Oh, that's mean. That's a low blow, because nobody likes bounties anyway. So they're like...
I like bounties, and you get 2, which is really good if you're meeting someone for the first time, because it's sort of like you've got a snack you can share without it seeming awkward.
Only if they like bounties. Which, like, I feel... Don't get me wrong, I like bounties. But I feel... and I know that most people don't, because I am never... wanting for a bounty. There's always bounties because everyone else leaves bounties. Email in if you like or hate bounties. We'll get a poll
another
going.
one for me to have more hate mail directed at me for my love of a bounty bar.
They'll be like, we don't give a shit about your opinions on Labyrinth, but I swear to God, if you come for the bounty.
There's Hitler and then there's you. You like Sarah's mother and you like bounty bars.
You like bounties on top of that. Jeez Louise.
You think you just like come and hang out and we'll talk about Labyrinth. What a fun time that will be. No.
Now we've started the bounty
bounty gate, exactly. So with Ludo, you know, because we've got to give him that humanity, we have the camera turned upside down to match Sarah's world view, which looks really awkward because he's obviously still upside down.
It does, and the music tries to be so like sensitive, where it's like, and you're like, what? This is weird. Like, just get him down.
It's also at this moment that we realise that the sensitivity of Ludo is all in the eyes. He has such soulful eyes, like a basset hound.
Which is crazy when you think he's made of glue and fur. Like, he's a puppet, but like he's not. No. He's
They took him to like the royal premiere of this movie and he met Princess Di. And she was charmed as well.
Isn't it insane? Isn't it insane that these beady glass puppet eyes are able to stare into the camera and tell a story, but it has better acting abilities than most like live action dogs in movies.
Yeah.
And they're like real things that people can relate to. This is like a fur monster with someone's hand up its butt. And like we're like, oh my God, that's my new best friend. Isn't that insane? And I know we talk about the puppetry in Labyrinth, but like it's so easy to forget Ludo and Hoggle as well, because you just see them as cast members. But like they're not. They're fake, and it's insane.
But you look, and we go from the face, and as you said, we got, you know, it's a very friendly face. It's not a very threatening face, and we got the big hands, and as you said, it's covered in fur, so it's got this comfort feel to it, and it only now when we're obviously looking at this in such an analytical manner, and you obviously think, well, why does Sarah need a comfort item at this point? She's there thwarting Jareth. She's getting through the labyrinth. She's kicking ass. I mean, she's made it a lot further than he expected to.
I wouldn't say that she's kicking ass at this point. I'd say she's like, we're very much in like her character's journey at the moment, where she's learning what like friendship and loyalty means. Those things are being tested. She's had her minor growth moment where she's like, you're right, it's not fair, but that's the way it is, which is a real bummer of a lesson to learn. It's not really uplifting. It's just like, welcome to adulthood, hon.
Enjoy.
Such a bummer. So then I guess after that harsh life lesson, you're introduced to this like very whimsical Winnie the Pooh-esque character where he's like, I'm covered in fur, and she's like, "Aw, you're like my pet now. Follow me and don't fall down any trapdoors." Oh shit.
Yeah, that's a whole other bit of upsetting later in this film, isn't it? So, but yeah, Sarah has to obviously get him down, and she's like, "Oh, no problem, piece of cake." So she just hacks him down, not thinking, is there a lever? Is there some way to lower him? No, we'll just drop him on his head, which makes to explain why he's a little slow.
I always loved how she's like, she's got that tone, Jennifer Connelly, she's got that tone that she uses where she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And it's like, no, you're not. Like, no, you're not. Like, you fucked up. And we're just like, "Oh, oops, are you okay?" And it's like, you're still a child. There's no sincerity there. Like, you don't understand pain yet, so you don't understand what you've just done. And that's okay. I just find it really funny. I love her choices in this movie. Like, I just think they're so iconic. And it's not just because they're embedded into my brain because I watched this a million times. Yeah, maybe it is that. But, like, yeah, I just find her, like, little tonal shifts really fun. "Oh, I'm sorry."
Well, here we obviously get another trope of fantasy movies of people being caught, tied to ropes and strung up in trees and then dropped down onto their heads and somehow not being affected by it.
Classic.
With Ludo, it's a little more brutal because it's concrete or stone he's falling onto.
Yeah, like proper paving slabs.
I always thought it was like so weird. People just like bounce back after like essentially falling out of a tree.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen someone like fall out of a tree, so I couldn't tell. They probably do just get up, unless they've hurt their spine, neck, or legs. They probably do just get up and like limp away.
Walk
They're a bit bruised, but at the end of the year, just walk it off. Walk it off, ladies. Walk it off. Ludo walks it off. It's fine.
But yeah, Ludo, as you mentioned already, somehow understands the concept of friendship, despite Hoggle being, the educated man of the world that he is, has no concept of friendship.
Is he an educated man?
Well,
of the
in
world?
this world,
can we call him that with certainty?
Let's look at it in this world. Of the people around him, he's pretty much like up in Mensa sort of level, because everyone else is a blithering idiot. We got Jareth, who's like top of the pile. And then we got his underlings.
I was going to say, are you about to call Jareth a
And then we got Jareth, who's all like his little underlings who basically do what he says. And then we've got Hoggle, who, has ideas of what he wants to do and how he's going to live his life within the labyrinth. Everyone else is sort of like just reacts to things. Or that they're so driven by their own sort of bravado or sense of believe in what they're doing, such as like Sir Didymus, that it sort of just drives their own actions forward. So, but yeah, Ludo apparently is a little more switched on because he understands friendship, but not how to get out of the labyrinth. But
yeah, it's funny, isn't it? How he just like, why does he have no like knowledge of where the castle is? Like, does he live here? Does he belong here? Or was he kidnapped? Is there like a neighbouring island full of Ludos?
That's the thing, it's very lonely.
He was kidnapped and now he's here for whatever reason. But like does that explain why there's no more of him? He's the only one of his kind. You could say the same about Hoggle, but we've already discussed, is Hoggle technically a tourist as well? Like, does he's a stranger. Why doesn't he know where the castle is? Like, fucking everyone knows where the castle is. It's a huge building in the middle of the fucking labyrinth. It's like the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Like, if you're not really sure, you can probably glance around, climb up a flight of stairs, glance around, oh look, there it is. It's the like sparkling thing in the middle.
Yeah, why didn't Ludo give Sarah a boost so she could see over the walls?
Yeah, well, you can see it everywhere. Like, the amount of time she stopped and looked into the distance, and we've had that like, and she's like, the castle beyond the Goblin City. And it's like, yes, the huge building in the center of the labyrinth. Like, that's the thing we're headed for, Sarah. And like, what? So why doesn't Ludo even have the vaguest idea what she's talking about, let alone like where it is? Who is he? Who is this imposter, and how did he get in the labyrinth? You know?
Do we think that Ludo's friends are the Stones only because it's too expensive to make more than one Ludo puppet? And that we probably should have had an army of Ludos, but instead it was all like, nope, but you won't go that far.
You know who I bet Ludo's related to? I bet he's related to the rock biters from the Neverending Story.
No, don't say that.
Like distant cousins.
No, because now I'm just sad because I'm just.
They look like such big, strong hands, don't they?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
We're gonna need a bounty after this.
It's so sad.
Oh my god. And his friend was a snail rider.
Oh my god. Even the stupid bat.
Oh my god, no.
So good.
Coming up next, Neverending Story Minute.
You know. Oh no, I couldn't. You get to the swamps of sadness and just have to call it a day.
Even now, like all these years, like, you know, for someone who...
Because it's fucking
specialized
sad.
in censorship and the video nasties and stuff, the thing that still destroys me is the swamp of sadness.
Yeah. It's the music.
It's not so much music.
And watching that horse physically go under. Like that horse drowned that day. Like, you can't tell me that was fake. There was no actor horse. They killed a horse. Like, that horse sunk into the swamps of fucking sadness because the horse lost hope because it was sad. Artax!
The worst part of that whole sequence is the shot afterwards where he just stood there looking...
Oh my god. When he's like crouched down and there's like no horse anymore. He's just there holding
the reins. It's like, I'm sure I had a horse here.
And he's just like, oh my god. And you're like, fucking hell. Like, where does this go? And then Mork turns out and you're like, fuck me. Just kill me now.
But yeah, the rest of it I can cope. I mean, the rest of it's just basically the doldrums from Phantom Tollbooth. So. Yeah. But, back to our, our property.
Horse. Sorry, I'm still in
the swamp of sadness. And, well, Hoggle abandons Sarah.
Yeah, he fucks like, right off.
It's like, go abandon a moment's notice. He's just like...
It's like, okay, bye. Okay, thanks, bye.
He's a friendship that requires patience. Hoggle is. I love Hoggle to death.
Is he a friendship? Can we call him that? Has he earned that title? Like, when you give and you give and you give and they don't give anything back, that's not a friendship.
When you help people and all they do is lead you into circumstances where you're going to get killed or made the prince...
it's the Labyrinth. You live here. I don't know what's around every fucking corner. If
Sarah hadn't gotten involved, he wouldn't have been almost run over by the cleaners. He wouldn't have been threatened with being made the prince of the Bog of Eternal Stench.
They would have had to have made their way to the beginning of the labyrinth regardless. Like, let's say Hoggle was just doing his job. He would still be in the center of the labyrinth to go to the oubliette, to get Sarah, to get her then to the front of the labyrinth again. What we assumed that there was going to be another door that was a shortcut back to the, like, pissing fairies. Like, no. Like, they would have had to have made their way through the labyrinth back to the beginning. It's just that Sarah would have only gradually caught on and been like, wait a second, the scenery's changing back to what it was at the beginning again. And then Hoggle would be like, fuck you, we're at the start. Try again, bitch. But, like, no, they negotiated. And it wasn't even a friendship. It was, like, a bribery. They're not friends yet. Hoggle doesn't understand the meaning of the word. I don't know what his issue is, but he needs to see a labyrinth therapist.
Hoggle's been burned a lot.
Which is probably the bird hat. Burned by who?
Like, life in general. He's just had people, like, constantly, like, pushing down.
I feel like he's just the kind of creature that just, like, popped out of the ground.
He is a
like,
dwarf.
I don't know, can we argue that he was born into servitude, which may, like, give him that attitude?
It would make sense, because, I mean, it's obviously a class system they have, where you're Jareth or you're a peasant.
Yeah.
That's basically...
Yeah, you're either the king or the janitor. Like, there seems to be things in between. It seems that if you're a goblin, you're enlisted into the goblin army, regardless. Which, happens. And then everyone else just gets to sort of live. So you've got the middle class that are scooping around their, like, Alice in Wonderland maze. Like the man with his hat, the wise man in his hat. They seem to live a lovely life. Where they bump into people that clearly have, like, money or tokens or something in order to give for his wisdom. And then on the outskirts, you've got, like, the fairies, which are, like, the rats. There hasn't been much. You've got the people that live under the paving slabs at the beginning.
They could just be part of the goblins.
So there's different, like, ecosystems, and there's different, like, cultures and civilizations that live throughout the labyrinth. So I wonder why some have jobs and some don't seem to.
But, I mean, we all, like, diss on, like, the goblins, but, I mean, to enlist in the goblin army of the Labyrinth, I mean, not only do you have to go through military boot camp, but you've also got to take 2 years of tap and dance and song, and you've got to do all these theatre skills as well.
Yeah, there's at least, like, one course of just, like, laughing at Jareth's jokes. And is Jareth immortal? Like, who takes over when he died? Who came before him? What's the hierarchy? What's the monarchy?
I would say he's immortal, or he ages very slowly. I think he's in the sort of, like, the elf territory. But then again, he could just be like, the Red Queen on Game of Thrones and just be, like, really old, but uses his magic to seem very youthful and Bowie-esque. And, like, maybe
I mean, he's definitely still, like, 40, so I'd have thought he'd take another 10 years off, but maybe he feels he's at his peak, at his prime. I don't know. I'm not 40. I don't know how you feel when you're 40.
I don't know. I feel like most days I feel I'm aging into myself, so I think at a young age I was always wanted to be, like, have the porch and just tell people to get their crap off my lawn, so...
Wow, that was the dream, huh? Shaking your fists at kids on your lawn.
Get your crap off my lawn. Unfortunately, we don't have porches here in the UK, so it was a very short-sighted dream, to say the least.
Yeah, and you envisioned that that's what you're going to be spending your 40s doing,
I'm spending all my time, like, building the porch, so that, like, I can sit out there. Anyway. But, yeah, that's it. Jareth is just... created himself in the image of Sarah's obsession, I want to say, which just so happens to take the form of Bowie, being Bowie, I guess. It's so hard to say with Bowie. I mean, he had that many personas and characters. I mean, he was Jareth in a more musical sort of sense, and,
Yeah, maybe this was Bowie's true form.
Maybe he's like Bjork, who James Herbert described as being a pixie. That
who described her as
in
that?
The book Once by James Herbert, he describes Bjork as being a pixie, and it's like, but you humans just find her very enduringly strange, and don't actually cotton onto her real form. So. Which I thought was a nice compliment, because as I said, she's a free spirit as well. She's, in many ways, she does what Bowie does. She just has these creative whims, like the time she decided to dress up as a giant maraca on that album.
Yes. The term pixie cannot help but be connected to manic pixie dream girl, which is like the worst thing.
Yeah,
ever.
but in Iceland,
so I'm a little bit like, oh.
In Iceland, they believe in pixies and stuff. That's why when you drive down the road, you see little houses, and there's certain
I thought it was
elves, pixies. It's all pretty much the same. They have like certain areas,
I don't know,
certain
man.
protected forests and stuff that you can't build in and stuff because that's the domain. They believe in a lot of cryptozoology over there. They're also very big into Sasquatches as well.
Yeah. I can't help but feel pixies and elves
They are
different,
obviously, in the more traditional sort of fantasy tales, but then, like many fantasy things, they take different forms depending on the eye of the writer, really. I mean, Tolkien obviously describes elves as, the long-haired, pretty ones, which has been very popular in a number of other fantasy works, because Tolkien sort of sets the standard, and then you have elves in other works where they're very sort of like small and skittish, and sort of like that goblin imp sort of thing. So depends on whose lens you're looking at things through.
That's fair.
But with her new friend in tow, Sarah remarks, "Oh, what's that?" And then sets off with a cry of, "Let's go, feet."
Come on, feet.
And we will obviously find out what she's looking at in our next episode when we meet the door knockers.
Well, I guess we'll be looking at some door knockers from the sounds of the title.
A lovely pair
but who's
of knockers.
To say? Oh, good God. You take that
Oh,
back
no,
right now.
Emma over at Verbal Diorama threw a zinger at me earlier in the week that caught me off guard, so...
What?
When we posted about our appearance in the Pod Bible, and she's like, "Normally I prefer to be on top, but I'll make an exception for you guys." And I was like, okay, that was unexpected, Em.
Something in the air.
I don't know, a whiff or a brandy or something. It's like, I just didn't expect that. It's like, and I sent the gif of Tara Brats going, "Damn!" Because I had no other response for it.
Yeah,
but I will
valid.
cut this out in a minute. But this is just a bonus material for us. Anything else you want to talk about in this scene?
No Bowie.
I did.
No Jareth, which is
for some reason I had in my head that when Hoggle's going through, we see him wandering off, that he walks into Jareth. I was sure that was the scene. It happens. I know
he will. He will, because he'll give him the peach. And he goes, not to jump ahead, but I'm about to jump ahead. And he goes, "Hoggle, if she ever kisses you, I'll make you a prince." And he's like, "You will?" And he's like, "Prince of the land of Stench." It's so good. Sorry.
It's fine.
I really enjoy this movie. I really love it so much.
It's the sort of glee of a child chasing a balloon.
No. If a child is chasing a balloon, it's because it's gotten away, and that's very tragic and sad.
Running with a balloon.
It's the kind of sadness that you only ever really get from childhood. No, watching Bowie go Prince of the Land of Stench is true joy.
When he hands her the peach, and Hoggle was like, "Do you think she's really going to go for a peach? I mean, fruit is hardly the most exciting thing you can offer me."
It's funny, isn't it? Because, and I'm sure we'll talk about it when we get there, but like peach nowadays, here in 2021, is so synonymous with like sex in such a explicit way. But I would be interested to know if that was still a thing back in like the 80s. Like now it's like a given, like the peach emoji equals your butt or like sex or a vagina, like it's such a thing. But like back in the 80s, was that still a thing? I guess you'd call someone peachy. I don't know. It'd be interesting to look into the, like, note to self, Google that ahead of time.
Oh, that coming up on a future episode. But, no, this also brings us to the end of tonight's episode. Thank you very much to my co-host, Emily. Thank you, of course, to all you folks listening. If you haven't done already, please do hit the like and subscribe button wherever you happen to be listening to us. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We've got pages on all three. Come and say hello. Let us know what you think of the Labyrinth, and share your thoughts on the episode, the show, whatever you want to share with us. And if you haven't done already, please do leave us a rating. Let us know what you think of the show. Leave us a review, as it all helps raise the profile of the show. But until next time, thank you for listening. And we will be back next time to talk about the door knockers. But until then, good night.